in there somewhere. Atrioc.
Gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday.
The Hasan interview. Give me the VOD, not the video. Favorite mask on liberal. I'm so confused how his viewer bump talking to Bernie and AOC was way lower than I thought it would be. I would have expected this to be a 100K viewer stream. And somebody said they saw the highest they saw was 50K. That's wild to me.
Has a lot of importance because, hey, what's up?
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. We're gonna give you guys lav mics.
Sure.
Be so kind.
Hello.
Hey, nice to see you again.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Magnet this onto your lip.
Why don't you do it?
Oh, I
Here.
got you.
Looks a little complicated. There.
I got you.
You want to put it? You just put it right here.
That's good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are good.
Yeah.
Take a seat. This is the chairs that they had. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, we have Bernie Sanders and AOC in the building. You guys are about to go up and speak at another one of the rallies that you've been doing, the Fighting Oligarchy tour. And I'm very excited to have you here. Vegas, specifically for me, has a lot of importance because I always say it's like the last time that I felt really hopeful about the future of this country because I was outdoor knocking for you along with the Chapo boys as well in the primaries. And then,
We did pretty well, huh?
yeah, and everyone kept saying, oh, the culinary union
Wait,
is
when
not
did Hasan organize door knocking stuff? Wait, really? I don't remember this.
going to vote, but the ranking for you is a lot of importance because I always say it's like the last time that I felt really hopeful about the future of this country because I was outdoor knocking for you along with the Chapo boys as well in the primaries. And then,
We did pretty well, huh?
yeah, and everyone kept saying, oh, the culinary union is not going to vote, but the rank and file very clearly was swinging in your direction. And in spite of the media attacks, you obviously pulled through, and then COVID, and then all hell broke loose, obviously, and here we are.
Are you actually surprised by Hasan viewership numbers? Or do you just say that because you know he watches and it triggers the fuck out of him if you mention it? Well, no, because assuming he doesn't view bot, which I'm not sure sometimes, I would imagine if his ordinary streams get 30 to 35K, because I think that's usually what he's around, that doing a show with these two people would double or triple. There'd be a huge interest in it. When he was playing Among Us with AOC, wasn't that like 100K plus view streams? Or am I making that up? I feel like those streams were huge back in the day.
You don't have a lot of time, so, and I'm sure that we'll pull. Not going to vote, but the rank and file very clearly was swinging in your direction, and in spite of the media attacks, you obviously pulled through, and then COVID, and then all hell broke loose, obviously, and here we are.
You guys are saying it was an anomaly because of COVID. I don't think Hasan's average viewership was that high. It was just that event was a huge event, which makes sense because these are like, or they were two of the most popular politicians in the US, and they still are to some extent. So I thought that, I just don't know why there wasn't a similar-ish viewer bump, or even like 2x viewer bump here. Like barely more people turned in, like 10, 15K more turned in. That was just strange to me, but I don't know.
You don't have a lot of time, so, and I'm sure that we'll get to talk a little bit more in the future as well, but I went to Japan recently, and I got both of you guys gifts. I actually have another gift for you, but unfortunately I don't have your gift, the actual gift here. Hold on. This one's for you. This is a Palestinian movement in Japan.
Thank you.
Solidarity with Palestine, and this is a little train for public transit.
All
I
right.
have a Japanese Communist Party pin for you as well, but unfortunately, because I went over there and I checked out their headquarters. But what are you guys trying to accomplish with these rallies? Let's get started.
I mean, I think that the kind of moment that we're in, and also something that Trump was able to exploit, was really practicing, even though he doesn't believe in working class politics, they had a very focused working class strategy. And I think for a while, like, Democratic Party clearly wasn't effective at that, wasn't successful at that. And I think one of the things that we're here to do is to actually rally a class conscious movement to bring people together and to show that we can fight for a better future.
It could be because people realize that Hasan is a bit too extreme. Maybe. I think the issue that's happening is Hasan has just lost a lot of pull off Twitch. Like, he has the Twitch platform that's tariffed and protected for him, but off Twitch, it seems he has a really hard time drawing people now. But
not in marginalizing and attacking people, marginalized people, but actually in rejecting the differences that we have to come together in common cause and to organize folks.
Well, I agree. To me, this country faces the worst set of crises that we have faced in a very, very, very long time.
this was a year ago. The Chapo Trap asked people about Bernie now. An army of Bowers clones is doing their best to end all life in Gaza. And the most you can offer is suggesting a brief timeout while assuring them that they're allowed to do whatever they want. Hope you live just long enough to see Biden lose and the last years of your life wasted. Jesus Christ. Is this actually a Chapo guy by your logic? Oh, this is Felix. Okay.
We are looking at a nation which is now oligarchic. And they don't hide it. I mean, I must give them credit for that. You know, they're out there. Mr. Musk, the richest guy in the world, is running all over the place, cutting veterans, the needs of veterans, cutting after Social Security. There are, in addition to Musk, he got 13 nominees of Trump to head major agencies. They're all billionaires. So you got a government, clearly, no embarrassment, of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. And then what is, I would hope, would be upsetting to all Americans, no matter what their politics may be. You can be conservative about this. You got a president who is moving us very rapidly into an authoritarian form of society. I mean, you don't sue media in America because they say something bad about you.
True.
Alexandria and I got about 500 lawsuits there, but we happen to believe in democracy. You don't ask for the impeachment of judges.
True.
Because they issue a ruling which you disagree with. So it is, these are...
Does Hasan even talk about this shit? Like, my coverage of him has to be super biased towards, you guys only link me shit. You only link me shit when he's talking about me, so... Which I don't know how much of a stream that is. It seems to be a lot. Or Asmongold. But does Hasan talk about like any of the actual attacks in the judiciary or any of that shit going right now? Or is it all just kind of like drama-ish stuff? I'm glad that Bernie's mentioning it. It's good. It's super... Well, I get Hasan's audience probably thinks it's always been corrupt and bad anyway, so it probably doesn't matter much. That's probably my guess.
Tough times. And what we have got to do is rally the working families of this country to stand up to oligarchy and to demand that we have an economy and a government that works for all, not just the people on top.
So one way that this government, I think, the Trump administration has been able to very expertly tackle these issues is by using an entry point of pre-established marginalization. Obviously, the erosion of civil liberties is happening all around, but like in terms of attacking free speech, a fundamental principle that I think all Americans agree on. And the way that he's done this, the way that this administration has attacked free speech is by doing something that previously has only been utilized in the darkest times of American history. I'm of course talking about Mahmoud Khalil being potentially being deported.
His only care is it's because it's the Palestinian shit. The deportation shit is truly disgusting, but whatever. At least it's, I guess.
Or at least having his green card revoked for basically nothing. That the administration has all but admitted it for no discernible reason other than the fact that he was the lead negotiator on the student side, the student protesters at Columbia campus. On top of that, just like in Nazi Germany, the Trump administration is now trying to put up an academic receivership and take charge and take control over different institutions within Columbia, and I feel like this is a grave mistake. Do you feel like the Democrats have any sort of
response.
interest in fighting back against this. Not regardless of what their opinion might be on Israel, the fact is.
Is he trying to do the? Is he trying to shit on the Democrats? Is that what he's doing here? Asking if they even have an interest in fighting on this. Is he about to imply that, like, well, because he just said the Israel thing, that Democrats don't really care about Palestine or Palestinians? I don't know. Fuck. Whatever.
Is that this is greatly going to expand, and it's simply just the entry point. Like the Palestine conversation is simply an entry point that has at least like some semblance of institutional backing, but it's obvious to me that they're going to go after a lot of other people, including but not limited to the French researcher, according to Le Monde, that was denied entry into the country because they looked through his phone and they found out that he had criticized Trump's elimination of grants.
I think there actually is support for it because of the free speech grounds on it. Because of the free speech grounds, because when ICE came to try to pick up, in Mahmoud Khalil's case, when they tried to pick him up, they offered no warrant. These were unmarked people. There were no charges. And so you have Senator Durbin and Senate Judiciary, right, Bernie? I think
he is the ranking member of the Judiciary.
I believe they released a statement talking about how they want to move on this. But I also think that it goes without saying that there is still profound money and interest that remains dedicated.
Did you see the story with the French dude? Yep, seemed pretty fucking crazy.
On both sides of the aisle in trying to marginalize and also conflate criticism of Israel as anti-Semitism.
Right.
And we have to be very aware of that too.
We have very limited time, and you guys have to.
Do I need to? Sorry.
You got no
I'm going
time.
up. I'm going.
Okay.
It's my cue.
All right.
Just
Sorry,
a minute
I'm
or
going up on
two.
stage.
All right, perfect.
Sorry.
One question I actually wanted to ask you before we let you go is, you've also talked about, you've talked recently with the New York Times about what the future of the Democratic Party looks like and what maybe young enterprising individuals must do. And I believe I'm paraphrasing here, you said something along the lines of like running as an independent rather than utilizing the party
for me,
infrastructure.
that's not a very radical concept because I am the longest
run
serving
as-
independent
Yeah.
in American congressional history, and I've always run as an independent.
Well, doesn't he run in the Democratic primary because in Vermont you're not allowed to like have a primary or something as independent? Am I making that up? I thought he runs as a Democrat in order to qualify for their stuff, but I don't remember. It's a weird thing I think for how he works that out. But
Look, I think the Democrats over the years deserve credit for the work they've done on women's rights, on gay rights, on civil rights in general, fighting bigotry. They deserve credit, and they've made progress. But I don't think anybody with a straight face can tell you that they've stood up for the working class of this country. And I think that's why
That was
so
just
many
for
working
president?
class people have drifted into the Republican
maybe it was
Party,
just
not
for
because
president.
they believe in tax breaks for billionaires or they don't
Oh,
believe
I think
that
it was just for
climate
president,
change is
actually, you're
real.
right.
It's they look at the Democrats and there's not much there. So what my view is people should think about running as they want. Progressive independents should run as progressive Democrats, but don't necessarily feel that you have to run within the Democratic Party. And I think as you may recall, in Nebraska, a fellow named Dan Osborne ran a really, really powerful campaign as an independent, running as a very proud trade unionist, running on economic issues, and he did extremely well, much better than anyone had anticipated. So that was my point, and I think it makes sense.
Do you feel like there's any sort of momentum to break through the duopoly in this structure? As someone who has run as an independent, and
It is.
a long career?
It's a long discussion. If you're asking me, do I think we could start a third party tomorrow? I don't, for a lot of reasons, having to do with restrictions in various states making it almost impossible. But I think what you're seeing is massive discontent with both the Republican Party and the
duopoly.
Democratic Party. More and more people are looking for, I think, independent alternatives.
Yeah. Oh, you? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you so
Listen,
much.
great to see you.
We'll hopefully do this again very soon.
Okay. Take care.
All right. We'll go over to the rally now. We got to get your mic off.
Thanks.
okay, hard hitting.
Much.
Perfect.
Okay.
The scenes from around the country are are stark. 44 wheels stolen from Teslas and a parking lot in Texas. Superchargers set on fire, stolen from Teslas and a parking lot in Texas.
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
Superchargers set on fire in Massachusetts. Protesters arrested out front of a Tesla dealership in New York. Mass protests and boycotts in front of a Tesla dealership in Georgia. Red paint smeared across a Tesla dealership in Berkeley. Shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Swastikas painted on cars in Europe. All of these scenes add up to a pretty insane picture of Tesla's current standing. But just a few months ago, we were in an entirely different place. I take you back to December 12th, 2024. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, was on top of the world. Wearing his dark MAGA hat, hands up to the crowd, he was feeling incredible after only a few months earlier tweeting that he is not donating money to either candidate for president. He switched
When he was,
up.
I don't know if he'll show that tweet, but do you remember when he tweeted out, as long as I'm making both sides equally mad, I know that I'm doing my job. God, he was such an epic centrist fucking loser.
Rather quickly and became a huge supporter of Donald Trump to the tune of around $300 million. And because of that, he was deeply enmeshed in the administration when Donald Trump won the election, thus making him, in the days after the election, $200 billion richer. By December 12th, about a month after the election, his net worth topped $400 billion, which, if you don't know, makes him the richest man in human history. I'm not exaggerating. Mansa Musa, who you might bring up, but even with the best estimation, had 400 billion. John D. Rockefeller, the first billionaire, had at his peak wealth 1.5% of the US GDP. Yikes. Insanely wealthy. At this day, December 12th, Elon Musk had 1.6. He was richer than every man that has ever lived. Not even in the fictional world. Forbes puts out a Forbes list called the Fictional 15 and estimates the wealth of fictional characters like Scrooge McDuck. Elon Musk on December 12th had more money than all of these fictional characters combined. More money than Tony Stark, Scrooge McDuck, Bruce Wayne, the Tooth Fairy. It's a level of wealth, again, that is really hard to wrap your mind around. And he was feeling pretty damn good about it. He had the political power, the insider connections, the wealth, all of his companies were up. And in the past 3 months, something of a car crash happened. Tesla stock, almost inexplicably, dropped 50% since December 12th. 50% in 3 months, below where it was before the election. Now, this number is hard to wrap your head around, but Tesla's market cap loss, its valuation lost in this short period, is equivalent to $800 billion. And I want you to try and understand the scale of what that loss is. Tesla's losses since December 18th, 2024 are greater than the entire value of Toyota. It's like if Toyota went to zero. Is that crazy? No, because it's way more than that. It's
I was gonna say, isn't it like it's probably like 5 times the market capitalization of every single car company combined or whatever. It's
Toyota plus Ferrari plus Mercedes-Benz plus VW combined, all going to zero. Is that crazy? No, because it's way more than that. Tesla's lost.
People don't understand how insanely overvalued Tesla is. It's so fucking stupid how memey this stock is.
Since December 18th, are equivalent to Ford, Subaru, Mazda, Toyota, Nissan, Rivian, Honda, Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Aston Martin, Hyundai, Kia, VW, GM, and BMW combined. It's as if every one of these companies went to zero in 3 months. I am not exaggerating. I'm not upplaying it. This is exactly the amount of market cap lost. And take $10 billion on top of that and light it on fire. Why? In 3 months, how could the fortunes of a company change so quickly? Some people have a very specific answer. But whether that was a Sieg Heil, a Roman salute, or just his heart was going out to you, I know what it looks like to me. And I do know.
I can't believe that this can't be true. I don't believe you guys. Somebody said this, that Tesla is currently holding over $1 billion of down payments on like cars like the Roadster 2 or whatever. Fuck, what's that one? What's the, is it MKBHD? I really got that abbreviation right the first time. I'm so good. Wait, somebody said 250 million? age. Like, did he really pay a down payment of $50,000 on this car almost 10 years ago and hasn't gotten it yet? Is this actually real? Destiny, this analysis is kind of stupid because he's only adding up the market cap and comparing them. Legacy car companies are massively funded by debt, but Tesla's debt is basically negligible versus its equity valuation. Yeah, Atrioc is really stupid. And he definitely didn't know. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't meme because I don't know how many people know. No, Atrioc is a smart dude. Obviously, he knows that it's like Mimi. Everybody knows that Tesla's valuation is Mimi as fuck, including Atrioc. It's just to help you imagine like how stupid the swing in value is in this company. It's just astronomically stupid. Like if you were to ask Atrioc, do you think that like the underlying fundamental value or all of the assets owned by or all of future sales and cash flows promised to all of these companies combined is actually the same as Tesla? He would say obviously not. It's a crazy meme stock.
Oh, that the timing is pretty convenient in that the day that happened was basically the beginning of the losses this year. But what this presentation is going to talk about is that there is so much more rot under the hood of this company. There is so much more worth taking a look at business-wise than just the political machinations of Elon Musk. Now, that being said, his reputation is falling and it is taking Tesla with it. We should start by talking about some of the politics, okay? Because there's no doubt about it. And it's a bit of a stark situation, play on words intended, because 7 years ago, it was widely accepted that Elon Musk was the real-life Iron Man.
People have called you the real Tony Stark.
How are you?
Congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Those Merlin engines are fantastic. Oh, thank you. Yeah, good idea for an electric jet.
You do.
Yeah.
Then we'll make it work.
It's got to be one of the biggest turnarounds of PR shit ever. Like more than Game of Thrones. Like he's the real life equivalent to the cultural obsession and then neglect of Game of Thrones. Did anybody dislike Elon Musk other than like maybe the lefties who hate billionaires? But because even I in like 2020, I think still was like, listen, SpaceX and Tesla are cool, right? You got to give them props for that at least. I can't believe how unbelievably fucking horrible he has turned around his reputation. It's insane.
You gotta be kidding me.
Sorry?
You're Elon Musk.
I am?
So let's talk about the Tesla. I have a Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, and I love it. I love it.
Good luck, Machete. Good luck.
Elon Musk?
I didn't know he was in so many shows or movies. But
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Tesla Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you sincerely trying to save the world?
Well, I'm trying to do good things, yeah. I mean.
But you're trying to do good things and you're a billionaire. I mean,
yeah.
that seems a little bit like either superhero or supervillain. You have to choose one.
And he even has like a sense of humility to him. Are you trying to save the world? I'm just trying to do good things. Nowadays, if you ask him, are you trying to do good things? He's like, I am the savior of humanity and I'm going to transhuman us to fucking Mars. Like, what the fuck? The woke mind virus, my friends. It's a deadly one.
It's funny, it kind of cuts off, but he paused for a long time after that question.
Wait, 1,000 people paid $250K to reserve the Founders Edition, and as far as I know, there's no number to how many people paid $50K for the regular version in 2017, and neither of those cars have been released? Jesus Christ. That's a big loan. Are they getting paid interest on any of that? That's so crazy.
In 2018, Jay Schlatt tweeted, if America's gonna get another billionaire president, can it at least be Elon Musk next time? I mean, his reputation was, for all intents and purposes, solid gold. And then a lot of things happened. I think most of you are well aware of these things. I don't need to go too much detail, but a quick recap between 2018 and now. He called a Thai cave rescuer a pedophile for not using his submarine. He said he was gonna take
that was the beginning of the end right there.
Tesla private at $420 a share, and funding was secured. So everybody pumped the stock to 420. Then he said, oops, I don't actually have the funding. Losing investors $12 billion, getting his Twitter account frozen briefly by the SEC. He said COVID would have 0 new cases in America by the end of April. He said his pronouns are prosecute Fauci.
Bro,
he said in 2021
COVID.
he'd prefer to stay out of politics, then got deeply into politics, then said Trump would be too old to be president, then got super in with Trump. He said it's going to be the most awesome presidency of all time, the most fun president of all time. He said he wanted to buy Twitter as a joke and then tried to back out and then was forced by a court to do it. Then once he owned Twitter, he said, I'll abide by a poll for everything that I do, including I'll step down if I lose this poll.
Then he lost
the poll, then
and didn't
stopped doing
step down.
polls. And perhaps most damningly for us gamers, he was caught and eventually admitted to boosting in Path of Exile and Diablo 4. Now, there's many, many more things in there. I'm just giving you a brief example of why his reputation might have taken a hit.
Like, any one of these things is just kind of funny and stupid and a little bit wacky and insane. But like, bro, what the fuck? What is happening here?
Over the past 4-ish years, including the fact that Jay Schlatt 5 hours ago tweeted, "I take it back." Your opinion on each of these individual instances can vary, but the business case for it is pretty damning. There's been a backlash. Major brand worries. How toxic is Elon Musk's behavior for Tesla? Again, he's so deeply intertwined with the brand of Tesla in consumers' minds. They can't really separate Tesla and Elon Musk. It's creating a reputational problem for the brand, leading to declining sales and damage to Tesla globally. In every country other than China, Tesla's reputation has dropped year over year. Doesn't even include 2025 numbers. And sales data shows that even people that love their Tesla cars are starting to get sick of Musk's behavior. They're buying stickers like this. I bought this before Elon went crazy, and having quotes like this. I'm sort of embarrassed to be seen in that car now. I bought this before Elon went crazy. People are trying to signal that, hey, I don't know, I don't support necessarily all this behavior, even though I bought Tesla. Companies that compete with Tesla are even using this in their marketing. He had put this on Instagram, I think, putting a sticker on their new car, their new EV. Quotes like this. When he stood up and made that Sieg Heil Nazi salute, something clicked in my head and I thought, I cannot drive a Tesla.
Jesus.
I don't care how affordable or fun they are. None of that mattered anymore. What used to be such a glamorous statement car, to me, actually became a really repulsive one. Whether you agree with this person or not, this is a customer. When you're a business, this customer matters. And this customer adds up. Dr. Kumate here bought a gold-plated Tesla Cybertruck to advertise his business. This is a guy who was all in on the brand. Now he wants to sell it because of all the backlash. And it's partially because people are getting negative feedback from those around him. This is on Reddit in R Boston. People don't want this to happen to them when they buy a Tesla car. Stickers are getting placed on cars that say, "Don't buy a swastika car." Now, Elon Musk will tell you that all of these protests are being astroturfed
by George
Democratic
Soros.
mega donors like George Soros.
True.
I think sales data would show that is not necessarily the case. And even if vandalism in the protests are, I think, rightfully stopped by police, as is happening here in Chicago, people don't want to go through a police picket line to buy a car. It suddenly makes them feel some type of way about the customer purchasing experience. Ross Gerber is certainly no ally of George Soros. Ross Gerber is a longtime Tesla pumper. He made a ton of money off Tesla and used to be one of the biggest Elon shills. He's recently been saying the bare facts because he's also an investor. Tesla cannot sell its cars due to Elon's behavior. Let's stop blaming other things or interest rates. Only one person is responsible for this. And what's more important than all of this is that we are in a deeply divided country. So you may say to yourself, well, everybody he pisses off on one side, he may gain on the other side. And for some products, that might be true. But some facts
for
about
electronic
EVs
vehicles,
make that particularly hard to believe.
Yeah.
If you guys had to guess what 10 states bought the highest amount of EVs and
I feel like these are going to be pretty blue states, maybe.
Where they voted in the 2020 election. I'll give you a hint. It's these 10 states and they all voted blue. They're all pretty deeply blue. Now, if I were to tell you which states bought the least amount of EVs, it would be these 10 states and they all voted Trump. You might be seeing a pattern. Courting Trump voters can be a fine business strategy for, I don't know, for a beer brand or something, but for an electric vehicle specifically, it's kind of a losing one because they don't want to leave gas-powered cars. The data's pretty stark on this. 55% of Republicans say there's no chance at all they consider buying any EV in the next decade. So it's an uphill battle. At the same time, they're coming into a certain time of a particularly dangerous economy. So politics aside, if Tesla was just a car company going into this 2025 year, they'd already be in trouble because as recession fears grow, late car payments have never been this high. It's the highest level since they began tracking the data. There have never been this many auto borrowers 60 days past due. People are not able to make their car payments as is, let alone able to buy brand new cars, which might explain why Tesla, in desperation, is offering 0% down, 0% APR subprime loans to try and boost demand. But the problem is, even if this increases sales in the short term, many of these won't get paid. These are very dangerous loans to be giving out to an economy of people that probably can't pay them back. This is a desperate play for growth. Most people in this car market are just waiting. Primarily want used cars, and they primarily want the prices to go down. And if they buy a used car, they want something that'll hold its value, which is exactly the opposite of what's happening.
Do cars last longer today on average than they used to? I wonder if that factors into car markets at all. Like, are you more likely to see a car with 150,000 plus miles on it today than an older car? Does anybody have any idea? Is there like somebody link me data on that? I'm never taking any of your retarded fucks word for it.
Happening with Tesla. Used car prices for Teslas.
Average lifespan car over time. Car longevity? In the United States, the EPA assumes the typical car is driven 15,000 miles per year, according to the New York Times. Okay. In the 60s and 70s, the typical car reached its end of life around 100,000 miles, due in part to manufacturing improvements such as tighter tolerances and better anti-corrosion coatings. In 2012, the typical car was estimated to last for 200,000 miles, with the average car in 2024 lasting 160,545 miles, according to the website Junk Car Reaper. According to a recent study by Junk Car Medics, the average vehicle in the U.S. lasts 16.6 years and 156,000 miles. Interesting.
Are crashing way down, even compared with other EVs, which again are not doing well themselves. At the same time, if you're a regular everyday consumer in America, one of the
Ask your grandparents about how long they expect a car to last. It's a safe bet that they'll tell you that most cars begin to show severe signs of age at 50,000 miles and are junk at 100K. While that advice may have been accurate for vehicles in 1973, today's passenger cars will last more than twice as long as their predecessors did 50 years ago. Damn. One, this is just, it's purely anecdotal, but like, I'll hear people say that they bought a used car that's like 10 years old, but it's like not it's not a crazy thing. Like if you are, like if you're in 2024 and you end up getting a used car from like 2015, that's like it's generally, as long as it's not like treated like shit, that's like it's an okay used car. But I feel like back when I was graduating high school, like if I was in 2008, if I were to buy like a car that was like a 98 or 99, I feel like that would be a piece of shit. I feel like you're in the dumps. You're like fucked if you're getting like decade plus old cars at that point. But this might be like super anecdotal or heavily just like personally biased maybe or something. I don't know. It just feels like you can drive like 2012, 2013, 2014 cars now and they're still like okay. The typical car in 1973, had a painted steel frame. Oh, I also think it might also be because it feels like there was a lot of car technology that happened from like 2000 to 2010. Like, I don't know if ABS was standard on pre-2000 cars. I don't know, like the auto locking seatbelt stuff, electronic steering protection, like all of this stuff. There were a ton of safety features that it feels like got added in that like 10-year time span, but maybe not. I don't know. They took away ashtrays. The typical car in 1973 had a painted steel frame, an underpowered carbureted engine calibrated with a screwdriver, and a simple steel exhaust system. The interior was likely vinyl or velour, a synthetic wannabe velvet, and incandescent light bulbs were used for illumination. High-profile tires were mounted on steel wheels, and nearly everything was controlled via vacuum tubes, cables, or physical switchgear. Cars of 50 years ago would rust within months of being out of the showroom, even if the dealership applied its aftermarket rust-proofing service. Overworked engines would misfire if not tuned up by a mechanic regularly, and mineral, oil-based lubricants would fail if not changed habitually. Exhaust systems would rust, often inside out, and most transmissions needed attention every few years. Or after a few years, cars frequently had burned out headlights and bulbs, and tires would last about 20,000 miles, assuming the vehicle's alignment was true. As dozens of components fail year over year, most vehicles likely be scrapped at 100K miles. In 1970, the average car was on the road for just 5 to 7 years, or is that 5.7 years? Grandpa was correct about cars from this era. But today's cars are vastly superior to their predecessors. They will likely be on the road for upwards of 250,000 miles before they are crushed for recycling. Credit advanced unibody construction with galvanized steel coated with a layer of corrosion-resistant zinc and advanced rust protection on all other car parts. Engines are much more powerful and efficient, and galvanized and stainless steel exhaust systems now last the vehicle's life. Synthetic lubricants are more tolerant of heat, remain chemically stable, and have much longer service lives. Fuel injection replaced carburetors, and advanced computerized ignition systems ensure proper running and warn of potential issues. Goner incandescent headlights replaced with LEDs that are brighter, wider, more resistant to vibration, and smaller, and they last the vehicle's life. That's true. I feel like it's pretty rare that I see a car with like a headlight out these days. It used to be pretty common back in the day. There'd always be motherfuckers driving around with half the shit on their car blinking, or like if you were behind them and they did a turn signal, it would be like blink, 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 and that was supposed to tell them that their front light or something or a signal was out. I feel like you don't see that as much anymore. Low profile radial tires are more robust, and suspension technologies have improved. Tires last upwards of 50,000 miles today, Goner vacuum tubes, cables, and clunky switchgear. Since replaced with solid-state electronics, use diodes, transistors, integrated circuits, and are actuators for reliability. And you won't find Valor on a new car today, blah, 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 blah. The average age of a car on the road in 2023 is 12.5 years, more than double that of 1973. Interesting, damn.
The biggest things you worry about with your car is repair costs, because losing access to your car can mean being unable to get to work. It's a massive unexplained expense. Repair costs for Tesla are higher than both gas cars and other EVs. And because Tesla locks down repairs and controls the entire supply chain top to bottom, you have to wait a long time. So there's a big problem for a regular consumer in getting a Tesla, even if you don't care about any of the politics stuff. Guess what? This might shock myself and many people in this audience, but America's not the only country in the world. Tesla sells most of its cars in these 10 countries. I'm blocking out one because we'll talk about it later. Maybe you can guess what it is. These
Mexico or China? Not China, right? Don't they fuck us on imports? I have no idea. Is it China?
10 countries are primarily where Tesla makes its sales. US, Germany, France, Canada, UK, Australia, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Let's go through these countries. We've talked about the US already. We know what's happening there. Germany, 76% fall in sales. People are pissed about his meddling in the German elections, promoting the AfD. France, sales plunged 63%. They only had 1,000 new cars in France in January. They underperformed the overall industry and the EV segment. At the same time in France, they really don't fuck around when it comes to rioting. So they're not just having small protests in front of stores, they're lighting them on fire. 12 cars destroyed in arson in France. Canada, sales down 70%. Not only due to price hikes, but also loss of rebates. Rebates especially interesting because for some reason, right before the EV rebate disappeared in Canada, 4 Tesla stores reported selling 30 cars per hour. Essentially 1 car every minute, 24 hours a day for 3 straight days. Extremely suspicious because Tesla gets a kickback from the EV rebate. It's almost like they were faking sales right before the rebate ran out to get money from the Canadian government, which is exactly what Canada TV News is reporting.
Ottawa's rebate program on electric vehicles that allegedly prompted a mad rush to buy EVs.
Sandy, a spike in purchases was to be expected, though the reported sale of 8,600 Teslas equaling $43 million in rebates at 4 Canadian Tesla locations has sparked plenty of questions.
In the west end of Toronto, this one Tesla location alone reported selling more than 1,200 vehicles on January 11th, totaling more than $4 million in rebates.
Okay, I didn't understand that in France, they're not even selling 1,200 vehicles total in the whole month. But in this one Canadian location, they're moving 1,200 units like in a day right before the rebate closes.
And? So we paid them a visit to try and get some clarity on the staggering number of sales.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. My name's Adrian Gobriel. I'm a journalist with CTV News.
Okay.
There was a large increase in the number of sales processed through the EV rebate program. Did that take place, or is that a backlog of paperwork going through? You can't share any comments? Is there any manager you think that might be?
Because it kind of seems, again, this is allegedly, but it kind of seems like fraud against the Canadian government. It's also suspicious that the sales went up so much in Canada at that store, given that 71% of Canadians support a total ban on Tesla altogether. 71%!
Jesus.
In the UK, it is different. Tesla sales did rise in the UK. Though part of it is the fact that the UK EV sales are up dramatically across the board. Basically, 1 in 4 new cars in the UK are now fully electric. They're making a massive EV transition. They have a lot of still active subsidies. People are buying EVs hand over fist. And there is still things you can find in the UK that show that Patience with him is running out. This is on the London Underground. Elon Musk's Perfume Day 1939 for wankers.
Jesus.
Australia is down 81%. Sweden and Norway are down 44 and 38 year over year. They buy a ton of EVs. They're buying less Teslas. Denmark down 52% in February. So if you add all this up, 8 of the 9 countries we showed are down year over year. UK is up. What about that last one though? Did anyone guess what this last country is? That's right.
China, 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 China.
It's China! Probably the most important country in the world for the future EV battle. How is Tesla doing in China? It's been a steady source of growth for them for a long time. And it's worth noting that unlike every other country here, the people in China don't give a shit about Musk's politics. Survey after survey shows reputation of Tesla has not been harmed by Elon's antics. They still think he's a cool tech guy, but that doesn't matter. The truth is, disappointing sales in China, and they are down 49%, are not because of his politics or caring about Elon at all.
Competition?
It's because of their narrow and dated lineup and up-to-date and more exciting offerings from BYD. Basically, they're just...
I will say, it was kind of crazy that, I guess this kind of happens where you're first movers. It seems like there's like this thing called first mover advantage, but it's not really. Everybody, the first player on the market always ends up fucking it up and fumbling hard. I feel like we used to hear so much cool shit about Teslas, whether it was like a new car coming out. As cringy as the Cybertruck was, it was new. The self-driving shit, autopilot was new. The armor of the fucking Cybertruck was new, and the instantaneous torque from the, like, it was all new and interesting. You always kind of heard new shit, and now it's been like nothing for a long time. I don't know what Tesla's done in the past like 5 years. I feel like nothing is coming out new from them at all, you know?
just getting out-competed. Tesla is flaming in China, and the rapid rise of BYD is to blame. It's not because of a Sieg Heil.
What's BYD?
They're just getting little broed by the BYD Atto 3 and the BYD Seal. And these BYD products are promising a Tesla-level car, but built for the Chinese audience at a fraction of the price and sold within country. And if only somebody exactly 5 years ago could have predicted in a Discord chat with Ludwig and Stans this very day the Shanghai Gigafactory was announced, that China was going to prop up a competitor with government money and force Tesla out eventually within the next 5 years. And exactly 5 years after...
Why do you think that is? Why has it become hard for them to release new models? Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I haven't followed electronic cars at all. I'm not sure. I don't know.
This post, BYD surpassed Tesla in 2024. Once they surpassed them, they have not let go. By 2025, it's not even close. They're getting mogged in the country. At the same time, some of their future offerings about self-driving tech, well, those are getting mogged too. Because in a surprise announcement, BYD announced self-driving tech, basically the equivalent of Tesla's FSD, for free. If you buy a Tesla, you have to pay an extra 8-10 grand to upgrade to self-driving. BYD rolled it out to every make and model for free. Jesus. Tesla responded by trying to roll theirs out in China, but immediately users that tried it were greeted with tons of tickets.
Oh no. One thing, this is like a general principle, I feel like this happens, is sometimes you get people who are able to come in and like be disruptive to some market because they come in with like a fresh idea or a new perspective. And I feel like they're able to do genuinely cool and innovative stuff. But then they get a little bit too far ahead of themselves and they forget that there were some established rules or norms before you came into this market. And while you were able to shake things up by bringing in new ideas, that doesn't mean all the old shit was like bad and should have been tossed. So I wonder sometimes for some of these people, you know, some of like the Teslas of the world that are able to come in and shake things up, at some point it's good to be an innovator, but also there's probably other things that car manufacturers have learned and understand about making and selling cars. And it's probably good to lean on some of their experience as well. I feel like, I don't know if Elon is like this. It's the vibe I get from him, and it's the general feeling I get from Tesla, is Tesla wanted to reinvent the wheel on literally fucking everything. They didn't want to have to sell to dealerships. They wanted their own dealerships. They wanted their own like electric charging things. They wanted their own they wanted their own like type of self-driving. They stopped working with other people on the self-driving technology and everything, right? They wanted to make their own batteries. They wanted to do, like, it feels like Tesla wanted to do everything, I guess almost like Apple or something. Well, that's not even true, because wait, does Apple manufacture their own processors for their iPhones? I don't remember. But the vibe I get is, I could be wrong though. Maybe I don't know, maybe that's not the case, but that's the feeling I get.
This guy turned on his Tesla self-driving and got 7 tickets on 1 ride. It keeps driving into bike and bus lanes that it's not allowed to, and in China the camera automatically detects it and flags you. So it's like instant punishment. You can't just apply the same FSD software you got from other countries in China. It has unique roads and lanes and signs. BYD has accounted for that in their self-driving because it's built for China. Sales declining in 9 out of 10 countries where it makes basically all of its sales. Politics causing backlash. Competition causing sales problems. But all of these aren't even as big of a problem as this one. Math. Even if none of these were happening, there would still be a problem with math. Now, thankfully, it's not going to be this math because I'm a business major.
But that same philosophy is why SpaceX and Neuralink are successful, no? Yes, but I think something you have to be aware of, and this is why most first movers, and this is why just most people in most industries kind of like fail out. This is true of streaming and YouTube stuff as well, is you can genuinely stumble upon a new idea and be an innovator initially, but you have to have an extreme amount of hubris and ignorance and a lack of just general awareness of market conditions and other people around you to imagine that you're the only one that can utilize whatever principles you've kind of, novelly discovered. Like, sure, you can surprise people for a little bit, but people will figure out what you're doing, or people will see it and then they'll incorporate it. And smarter people than you that were competing before your novel idea came up will incorporate your novel shit, and then you'll get steamrolled if you don't also learn from them. Like, you can't enter with a new idea and expect to be competitive forever. Like, eventually other people will figure shit out and they're like, oh, okay, fuck this guy. And then you're going to get buried. I think it's a general principle. I think that's true.
It's going to be business major math, which looks more like this. Very, very simple. A price earnings ratio is essentially what a company's worth divided by how much it actually makes. Gives you a good idea of when you as an investor will get your money back. For most car companies, like for example Ford, a PE ratio might be something like 5 to 10. Pretty much saying, hey, you're not a high growth company. I'll get my money back in about 5 to 10 years. For a high growth tech company, which might grow dramatically in the next few years, you can give them a PE ratio as high as 20 to 30. Apple sits at 35. Let me help you understand that maybe not all of the Magnificent Seven truly belong. Apple deserves this number because they make $96 billion in profit a year. They're one of the greatest cash generating geysers in human history. Google made $100 billion in profit last year, a 35% increase. Microsoft made $88 billion, a 21% increase. Meta made $62 billion, up from $39 billion, a big increase. These are all cash geysers, tens of billions of dollars of profit. Amazon made $59 billion, a 94% increase. Of course they have a high PE ratio. Nvidia has the highest of them all, a PE ratio of 60, which is crazy, but they're up 144% year over year, $72 billion in profit. That's 6. What's the 7th? Tesla last year made $7 billion in profit, a 52% decrease. Not only are they going down in profit, but this amount isn't that much to begin with. It certainly doesn't qualify them to be up with all these trillion-dollar magnificent companies. And so if we go back to our simple price earnings ratio, what it's worth divided by what it makes, Tesla's still worth $722 billion, and they made $7.13 billion. So if you do the very simple math here, you'll find out that Tesla's PE ratio is not 5 to 10, it's not 20 to 30, it's 101 still. It declined by 50% and it's still astronomically high. The level of growth expectations baked into this fairly small company is fucking crazy. It's 101 today. And that leads me to an important question that gets asked a lot. The question is, why are we not getting rid of Elon Musk as CEO? He's causing us all.
Because that's the only reason the stock is so high.
reputational damage. Why not get rid of them? We can ask ourselves, what would Tesla be worth without Elon Musk? What if it was valued like a normal car company or even like a normal tech company? Well, it turns out that
it would probably be this. It would probably be the smallest manufacturer or the maker of cars in America, I would imagine. Yeah.
Has been done in this article by Fortune. And I updated it for the new numbers, but essentially Tesla's actual valuation, if you ran the numbers normally, would be $84 billion, which means a massive portion of their valuation is just hype. It's just Elon
I wonder what are the other companies valued at? Maybe it would still be bigger than some of the.
Musk's ability to promise and promise and promise and promise and promise the future. Which means it's very hard for them to actually get rid of him, even though Tesla sales are down and they have to keep cutting prices and they're in a price war they can't win, even though they're trying to unload inventory and it's bad news for investors, even though their profit per vehicle continues to tank. The car company is still worth $722 billion. If it was valued normally, it would probably be closer to 84. Even Tesla.
Oh, never mind. These are much. Oh, no, wait. Okay, those are foreign companies. Ford is worth $39.6 billion. What are the other American car companies right now? Is it just Ford and General Motors? General Motors is about $50 billion. I wonder why they gave Tesla that much of a valuation. I wonder if that's based on tech and other things as well.
Employees say he's like a pigeon CEO. He comes in, shits all over us, and goes. But they can't get rid of him. Every dot on this chart is a tweet. You'll notice in 2022, when he bought Twitter, it gets blood red. Even though he spends the vast majority of his day tweeting, they can't get rid of him. Because if they get rid of him, they're going to lose this much valuation from the company. Inside man or woman. The chairperson of the Tesla board, Robin Denholm, has been selling Tesla stock hand over fist. Every package she gets, she is dumping on the market because she knows this valuation cannot last. The Tesla CFO is selling hand over fist. Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, is selling hand over fist. If you look at the insider sales of a normal tech company, let's say even a highly valued one, possibly overvalued one like Nvidia, it looks like this. Basically, there's always more sold than bought because people get paid in shares, so they sell. There's some people buying, most are selling. If you look at the insider activity of Tesla shares, you'll find zero purchases. Not a single Tesla executive.
Okay, is that well, maybe it's because it's a startup still, kind of, maybe? Is that normal? I'm trying to be charitable here. Probably not.
Is buying Tesla stock. Every single one of them is selling.
No.
Selling. Because they know that at the end of the day, the math, the raw math of what this company actually earns does not give it a $700 or $800 billion valuation, let alone a $1.5 trillion, which it had just 3 months ago. And they are making sure they get out while the market is still inflated. Now, the reality of this company is far different from that inflated expectation. And Elon Musk, as much as he might pretend not to, he knows this. He's actually said it back before he was so cautious. Back in 2020, Elon Musk said, when looking at our actual profitability, it's very low. Investors are giving us a lot of credit for future profits, but if at any point they conclude that's not going to happen, our stock will immediately get crushed like a souffle under a sledgehammer. That's 100% true. And profitability is an interesting word. Because again, as they keep cutting prices to try and stay competitive and show sales growth, the profit per vehicle continues to dwindle. It looks desperate. He has also said this.
But the overwhelming focus is solving full self-driving. And that's essential. And like that's really the difference between Tesla being worth a lot of money and being worth basically zero.
That's a pretty revealing statement. I don't think he even knew how revealing that was. He is basically openly saying, if we don't solve full self-driving, and by the way, this interview is years ago, our company's essentially worthless.
What does years ago mean these days? Like 10 years ago? How long ago was that?
Still worth $50, $100 billion. They sell cars. People like the cars. Some people do. But essentially zero. compared to what it was valued at the time. And that brings me to what I think is happening.
Pre-COVID.
People wonder the motivations between a lot of Elon's actions. Maybe some of it's the ketamine. But I think he has been quietly but steadily building an escape hatch. Let me explain why. I think he had a little bit of an idea going into government. Now, you guys may know this. Elon Musk was being hit with lawsuits and oversights and fines and complaints from a lot of government agencies. All of these institutions had something going on with Tesla's companies. Once he came into power, Doge wiped almost all these out, fired them, neutered them, shut them down in the case of some of these. He's cleared a lot of the legal problems off the plate of a lot of his companies, but still, that won't solve Tesla's sales. He might be able to do some small things like get the Cybertruck eligible for the government EV tax credit, but for how long? Trump has not proven to be very friendly to EVs. But what other of Elon's companies might be a lot better if you had a lot of power within government? It's SpaceX. And one thing you might not know, some other math that's kind of inconvenient, is that Tesla, at an $800 billion valuation, is the biggest company Elon Musk's a part of, sure, but he only owns 12%. SpaceX, he owns 42%. So if you actually do the math on Elon Musk's net worth today, he makes a lot more from SpaceX than he does from Tesla. SpaceX is actually way more important to his bottom line than it is from Tesla. It's now worth more than his Tesla share.
Which is also one of the things that made it funny when, was it Dougie in Canada said they were axing a bunch of contracts with Starlink. Jesus.
And that might be why he's more and more saying publicly that he needs a bigger pay package from Tesla. He needs more shares and more voting control. I am uncomfortable growing Tesla to be a leader in AI and robotics without having 25% voting control. I don't want to be overturned. That's why he keeps asking for a $56 billion Tesla payday. That's why, even though he's spending a ton of money on big AI data centers for Grok, he's not doing them under the Tesla banner. Grok AI is under X.AI. Tesla doesn't own it. He's been quietly, slowly but surely, getting all of his future growth stuff out of Tesla, where he has a much higher ownership percentage. And as the wheels literally come off of Tesla, he is setting himself up to still be mega rich through SpaceX. Elon Musk's Starlink under SpaceX is getting massive government contracts. They call him a walking conflict of interest. Everything he does in the government is beneficial to SpaceX, even using his government connections to talk to other foreign leaders. Again, they just got a $1.6 billion telecom security deal with Italy. This type of power with a company he controls a lot more of and is also private instead of public means that SpaceX is actually way more valuable to Elon Musk than Tesla ever was. It's also because it's private. Chinese investors can privately take stakes in his companies without having to disclose. He can hide who he's doing business with. Whereas with Tesla, it's public. With SpaceX, you can give him a ton of money for a favor and it's totally off the grid, which might explain why he's been so adamant that Taiwan is a part of China, right as Chinese investors take massive private stakes in SpaceX. All of this adds up to a unique picture of a guy that seemingly is caring less and less about his baby. Well, not his actual 14 children. But his corporate baby. People seem to think Tesla is so important to Elon Musk's bottom line, but actually he's kind of made sure that it isn't. Promises, promises. Now, where does that leave us going forward for Tesla as an investor, if you're thinking about investing in Tesla? Well, what you have right now is declining car sales growth and a lot of promises. But how much are these promises worth? I know some of them in the past.
Franz, could you try to break this glass, please?
Oh no, I remember this.
Sure? Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh my fucking God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Oh.
Tesla car next year will probably be 90% capable of autopilot. So 90% of your miles could be on auto.
We're probably only a month away from having autonomous driving.
2015.
For highways and for relatively simple roads. The Model S and Model X at this point can drive autonomously with greater safety than a person right now. We're still on track for being able to go cross-country from LA to New York by the end of the year, fully autonomous.
Wait. Again, listen to this guy. Bro, how did the Republicans escape the senility challenge? Listen to him talking in these videos as opposed to how, he maybe, I'm trying to figure out, and that's why Tesla's going to be the biggest one. Like, it's not even close. It's night and day. It's the ketamine. True.
End of the year.
For sure. We will have over 1 million robo-taxis on the road.
Next year, for sure.
For sure.
2019.
I'm extremely confident of achieving full autonomy and releasing it to the Tesla customer base next year.
When do you think Tesla will solve level 4 FSD?
I mean, it's looking quite likely that it will be next year.
These promises worked for a really long time, and for some people they still do. But investors are slowly but surely, politics aside, just not believing him so much anymore. And the lies are getting more and more grandiose to compensate. Whereas before he would just say, we have a great product coming.
The problem is that one of the things you guys don't understand is when you guys are looking at like the full self-driving, the auto drive shit, and this is one of the things that a lot of people miss, is you're trying to imagine how can they resolve these complicated philosophy questions of going into a ditch or hitting a grandma, or how can they navigate complex traffic situations or signage or whatever, okay? The traffic is far less, there's no signage, and the roads are a lot simpler because it's just all dirt when you're driving on Mars, which is where Elon is going to have all of us in 5 years, and everything's going to be on full self-driving on your Martian dusty roads. We don't have to worry about hitting anything, okay? You guys are being short-sighted right now. There's a reason why he flew that one car to Mars, and it was to start getting data on self-driving there, all right?
Next year, in air quotes, he's now openly talking about the stock price and saying, we might have 1,000% gain in the next 5 years. This is like from 5 days ago, 10 days ago. Even Wall Street.
Wait, how old is this video? Oh, 5 days ago, fuck. They hadn't announced the full recall of the Cybertruck yet, have they? How long ago is this? Was it just yesterday or was it 2 days ago? Tesla Cybertruck's latest recall involves body part that could fly off. The 8th recall, since the EV pickup went on sale over a year ago, concerns stainless steel exterior trim that could separate from the truck's body. I think you just peel it off. They're recalling 46,096 Cybertrucks, which is basically all of them, is recalling roughly 46,000 or virtually all Cybertrucks from 2024 and 2025 model years. RIP!
Street Bets is calling it COPE. It sounds like a made-up number. It's ridiculous. On the recent Tesla earnings call, he said the following.
I see a path. I'm not saying it's an easy path, but I see a path for Tesla being the most valuable company in the world by far. Not even close. There is a path where Tesla is worth more than the next top 5 companies combined. Wow. There's a path to that.
True.
What path? To being a $30+ trillion company? Bigger than Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Meta combined?
Hater. This guy's a hater. Hater
levels
alert.
Of stock pumping, and it's not working as well as it used to. And so, the only real concrete promises you're left with are around robo-taxis and robots. These need to come out soon and make a ton of money. He says robo-taxis in the future, experts have doubts. They might come out, maybe. They might make some money, but will they make the billions and billions of dollars quickly that the company needs to even justify its current valuation, let alone grow without having any legal troubles? This is Ross Gerber again. When will the government allow FSD robotaxis to operate alongside human drivers? Who's liable for the accidents? Who will buy and operate them? Will they even make money or will they become a commodity? How will combination with Waymo drive prices up or down? Waymo, by the way, is currently ahead in this space. And for robots, it looks like the tech really isn't there at all right now. It seems like a really out there kind of promise. Now with the robots, again, he's just saying everyone's gonna want one. I mean, this part was really crazy. He said we could make $1 trillion a year in profit from Optimus robots.
And so? I still can't believe that. God, kill me, kill me, kill me.
Let's say it's 10.
Fucking Dave Rubin.
Government would stop this massive, massive increase of inequality from accelerating out of all control.
How would you do it? So do you agree with Donald Trump's policies on that? Because by lowering taxes, by lowering regulation,
Listen, okay,
by getting rid of inefficiency, I mean, I'm with you on the premise.
How rich is Elon Musk? How rich is Elon Musk?
It's worth trillions. I don't know.
Okay, let's.
I hate my life.
There'll be 10 to 30 billion robots worldwide. There'll be a 2-to-1 ratio. Is any of this anywhere close to fruition? Is this just a guy on ketamine talking? Is there any hard math behind these numbers, or are you just saying what you want investors to hear to keep the stock up? I think before, a lot of people would say, I believe him. And I think now people are saying, wait a minute, maybe I don't. Especially after what has turned out to be quite a massive debacle with the only recent product they've announced, which was the Cybertrucks, which despite arriving late, were still rushed out. They malfunctioned at an astounding rate. They had delivery problems. They rusted. They're having corrosion. They're having returns. And now they're piling up on the lot. They're just not selling at the rate they thought they would.
He doesn't even know. He doesn't know.
And I say, what now? Where do we go from Tesla? Not about Elon. Where does Tesla go from here? First of all, politically, I haven't seen this much backlash on a company, maybe ever. It's a coordinated global boycott / denouncing / the most recent example that's anywhere close is the Bud Light boycott by conservatives in America. That was because of the Dylan Mulvaney transgender Instagram post. Again, Bud Light backtracked and had a fucking Shane Gillis out within a year, right? Even this is such a smaller thing, and Bud Light, cowardly or not, immediately backtracked. Tesla, to the others.
Oh yeah, it reminded me of this. After he'd done a full documentary on this.
This done. Depends on what.
A full documentary on this. He'd already done.
People have had this done. Depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but it's if we're talking about the drugs, it's millions.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah,
millions of kids have been on hormone blockers. Really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on that, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. That this shouldn't be happening to.
That's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers and had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
This says it's kind of undercounted, but that
would be a big undercounting.
Less than 1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands, but I could be wrong.
Million sounds great.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
The Media Matters will have fun with that clip.
Yeah.
Matt.
How many children are in the United States? How many people in the U.S. under the age of 18? Millions would mean, let's assume when he says millions, we'll be nice and say 3.5 million would mean 1 out of every 20 kids was on hormone blockers, right? So every classroom has at least 1 kid on hormone blockers. Sounds about right. If you're on Twitter a lot, I'd believe it.
Side has done so much more for so much longer with no signs of slowing down. I don't think the brand is recoverable among like Europeans and Democrats, which again is like a large part of the EV buying audience. I sincerely believe that unless there's such a massive tech advantage that people have to buy it, it feels like the brand is kind of poison, which makes it very hard to see the sales growth you want. By the way, Bud Light, despite being a much smaller controversy and lasting for much less time and only being in one country, still hasn't recovered. I can't imagine the amount of damage that's happening to Tesla right now. Now, there are attempts to rectify it. Donald Trump stepped in today and said to Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line in order to help our nation, and he's doing a fantastic job. But the radical left lunatics, as they often do, are trying to illegally and collusively boycott Tesla. I would say vandalism is illegal, but boycotting is not illegal. You can't force someone.
That's what you think.
You can't force someone to buy a Tesla. One of the world's great automakers and Elon's baby in order to attack and do harm to Elon and everything he stands for. They tried to do it to me at the 2024 presidential ballot box, and how did that work out? In any event, I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning as a show of confidence and support for Elon Musk, a truly great American. Why should he be punished for putting his tremendous skills to work in order to help make America great again? Trump is in his corner. Trump followed through on his promise.
I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets. And number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this. I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people. So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars.
So they had a Tesla auto show at the White House.
If you love to drive cars, why have you not driven one in a long time? What? Why would you lie about that? Why not?
With, I'm not kidding, a presidential ad read.
Oh my
This is
God,
Donald
dude.
Trump's actual notes, where he listed off the sales prices of different Tesla cars. This is like what I get
Unreal.
for Huel. But I don't
Yeah.
think this changes much. While this may make some conservatives more endeared to Elon, I don't think they're gonna change their buying habits around EVs, nor will more chargers suddenly spring up in their neighborhoods. These efforts could simply continue the backlash by making it a more politically aligned company. And I think Elon is starting to understand this.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
I'm not.
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean,
but
there has to be something. No, there's not. There's got to be like some way to make people look at the conversations that these interviewers have with like Trump and Musk and make them understand he's saying nothing. Like I have to do that game show where I like, okay, here is a statement. Here's him talking for 5 minutes. Can you tell me like something he just said? Give me some piece of information, something of substance that he's conveyed to you, please. Just one thing, please.
There's no turning back, you're saying.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. So.
Wasn't part of the Biden infrastructure bill adding EV stations in rural areas? That would be super fucking ironic. Yes, I'm pretty sure they killed the parts of that bill that were expanding the green energy shit, part of which I think was going to building electric vehicles charging stations. I'm pretty sure the Trump admin killed this. It's just, all of it is just so stupid. They're just so ineffective and bad at everything. Like,
so
he looks like he's about to cry. I just don't think this is going to turn the tides on the sales. However, based on this, betting markets are seeing rising odds that Elon Musk might leave the White House this year in response to increasing downturns at all.
But yeah, I'm sure Atrioc will talk about it. Like, would that make his reputation recoverable if he just leaves? I feel like he's Fuentes'd himself with Kanye. I feel like he's toxified his reputation so much, but who knows? Like, how weird would it be if Elon Musk left the Trump admin? He's technically not even part of it, but leaves the White House and is no longer part of that, and then like goes back to just tweeting apolitical stuff and isn't like, is that going to happen? Or imagine if he still continues to tweet political stuff, but now he doesn't have any political power, and Trump doesn't even give a fuck about him. How horrible would that be?
His companies. Outside of SpaceX, which can benefit from his Doge connections, everything else is getting hammered. And given that so many of his Twitter problems are backed up with Tesla loans, if that falls, the whole house of cards can be in trouble. So we may see an about face from Elon Musk this year. But there's one final point that's worth talking about. Elon Musk, regardless of all this, is going to be fine. If Tesla went to zero, he'll be fine. He has SpaceX. He has government connections. He's a billionaire probably till the day he dies. Who else has been buying Tesla stock hand over fist for the past 5 years as it now hits the skids? It turns out pretty much every American. Not just Wall Street Bets memers, pretty much every American with a 401k has been buying millions of shares of Tesla passively because it has such a big market cap weight in the S&P 500.
Yeah, of course, you have to. What kind of indexed fund, anything for the S&P 500 is obviously going to include Tesla stock. It has to. Anybody that's doing any kind of portfolio management is like, how do you not? Oh, we just don't buy any shares in one of the largest companies. Yeah, you obviously you have to, right?
Every ETF has been buying Tesla stock over and over and over at unsustainable highs. These problems aren't just Tesla's problems. As Elon Musk runs this company down and leaves without caring, like another child of his, the average 401k American is left holding the bag. This is dragging down the performance of everyone's retirement. And finally, I have to say, before you go and take this presentation and say, I'm gonna short Tesla, understand you're not the only one with this idea. When a company drops $800 billion in value in 3 months, people jump on the idea of shorting the company or buying puts. And once the idea gets too popular, a short squeeze is very easy. Nobody knows what'll happen in the short term to any stock price. Please do not risk your savings when one tweet from Trump or one announcement from Elon could spike it up at least somewhat and ruin all of your bets. All I would say is, over the long run, unless you firmly believe that we're going to have a Tesla robot in every home and a robotaxi driving on every street, this company is not worth what it says it is. And that's going to become very apparent sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching Marketing Monday.
Holy fuck, this laugh pisses me off. What? He's got a wonderful laugh. You're a hater, bro. Okay, I'm gonna leave this run overnight. This copper ore field is just fucking me. It's mind fucking me. I can't do anything. I'm paralyzed until it's gone. Fuck me. Very cool new Hasan merch drop. Jesus Christ. God, that's so awesome. My God. Narrative overcomes truth t-shirts. Watch that vid. All MAGAs watching it. Watch which vid? Skull t-shirt. This one. Bob Lighthizer. Everything you need to know about Trump's tariffs and fixing America's working class. Tucker Carlson, 1 hour and 36 minutes. Fuck that. Put speed modules in the miners. You're fucking right, bro. You're absolutely right. I didn't think of that. Thank you. You're a genius. You're a fucking god. What is this? Kaya. What? It says chaos. What does Kaya mean? Oh, that's his dog's name. The lobotomy will be televised. Personal reality. Wow. Paste. Whew. Okay. Fuck these things.
Into a side.
It's been too long. Legal. Okay. I think I'm gonna be reading. Let me make my speed modules first, though. What a great idea, chatter. Oh, and I can make beacons. What? Playing without pollution? No. Pollution is real. Okay. 1 sec.